Creating novel ideas or products and services. It's possible now to create programs using AI and actually write it for you. So you can actually, at least worst case scenario, develop something at a level of proof of concept and then get someone to try it rather than having to build it from scratch and pay thousands. Leverage of a decision making and efficiency. So you can actually get it to sort of be your advisor. Be careful on the facts. And staying ahead of the competitors, because essentially if you're not doing them, I'm pretty sure your competitors probably are. So in the end of the day, it's a case of keeping an eye on what's going on with that.
This is the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast for entrepreneurs and business owners looking for cool online tools, apps and strategies to make business easy online. My name is Nick Cree and I'm your host. Each episode features a guest expert demystifying the online universe, sharing inspirational ideas and providing tested real-world strategies to help you get the most of what's available online to grow your business today. Don't be a slave to your business, get your business working for you. Subscribe now and get some great content and ideas for you and your business today. All right, well, that brings me to our time in the evening where we introduce our guest speaker. So our guest speaker tonight is John North. So a bit of background about John, if you haven't come across him before. He is a CEO of Evolve Systems Group, and that's where he is at the moment. He's been involved in a ton of businesses, and some people have accused him of being a serial entrepreneur, sort of moving from one business to another and starting up all sorts of things. So he's one of those people that has got a whole lot of ideas, and he just acts on the ideas as they come along. He's got a wealth of experience in various domains. So he's been in accounting, banking, business management, finance, personal development, IT, software, and strategic marketing. So he's got experience in a wide range of industries. But he's also a book publisher as well, and he helps people to publish books. And he is an author of a number of books as well too. And tonight, he's really here to talk to us about AI. He's taken a headlong dive into this world of AI. He has a podcast and a webinar series on AI as well too. And tonight, I've invited him on to sort of come and share some of his insights on how this AI world is shaping up and how we can use some of these AI tools practically in our business. So let's give a warm round of applause to welcome to the stage, John North.
Thanks, Nick. I should hire that guy.
That sounds pretty good, doesn't he?
I was also in the ambulance for about 18 months on honorary. It was an interesting time. so I've yet to learn. I think the whole thing comes down about learning about people and tools. So basically, tonight's both of those things. So
awesome. It's all about people, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all about people at the end of the day. All right, so you good me to start? I can just start. I might share my screen first. This might help me. I mean, if you can see this main slide.
Yep, that's perfect. AI for real people, and that looks like.
There you go. So I actually asked AI to build me that image, and used some weird stuff come out, but the first round was quite cool. So basically, it said, "What's this going to look like?" So that's what it thinks. So it basically was a starting point. All right. So I want to tell you a little bit about me, mainly because there's a reason behind all this. So I've been in business about 30 years, doing business, accounting, marketing, that kind of stuff. And I've probably done about $25 million worth of sales for myself and my clients over the last 30 years. It's probably conservative. And written 8 number 1 best-selling books, including USA Today and Wall Street Journal number 1s. Launched a 7 podcast show with 800 episodes over about 10 years. And this slideshow has actually got a mind of its own, so maybe AI is running it. Published or involved in about 2,500 books along the way. And also built a platform called Evolvepreneur.app, which is as far as I'm concerned, game-changing in the SaaS operation. And the reason I tell you all this is because at the end of the day, all AI really is software. And so if you get understanding how to use software and its tools and its business applications, you're going to be a lot further advanced than people are sitting there thinking that it's some sort of weird thing. So at the end of the day, making sure that your actual software is what you are using, not AI as such. So I'm going to talk about the AI basics, a little bit about future of the AI in business, ethical, writing a book with AI, which will give you a little demo that people quite like that one last time I did with somebody, and a few practical demos on some software tools I want to show you. So, okay. So just an interesting background, AI has been around since the 1950s. So it's been around a long time. In the 1970s, it got a little bit of funding, but not much, and it sort of died off in the 80s. In the 1990s, it came back again, probably when the Terminator movies and stuff were coming out. Got a bit of resurgence and died off again. And suddenly in the present day, it pops out of nowhere as people think it's all new, but it's not. There's a reason why, though, and that's because deep learning and significant investments suddenly started appearing in this marketplace. So why now, which is a question I ask yourself, so I Google it to find out. Apparently an explosion of data. So obviously the digital age gives you vast resources of data, which wasn't really there before. The training modules were very difficult to train now because of the digital age. And obviously some of these models have gotten in a lot of trouble for stealing essentially other people's books and reading a lot of things. So obviously it was more accessible than it ever has been. Computational power, so the mod GPUs and TPUs are very more efficient and can actually do this stuff. And breakthroughs in deep learning where these neural networks have been able to achieve some remarkable results. So it's like a perfect storm, if you like, of all these things happening. And then, of course, a lot of money got piled in. And as you see when I talk about this presentation, a lot of money is in playing in this game. So also, you want to consider AI in the environment, whether it's a friend or foe. So a single LLM module, which is large learning model, which is very expensive. I think about $100 million to do this thing, creates as much carbon as a transatlantic round-trip flight. It also contributes electronic waste, rare earth materials to do this stuff, but also obviously AI can be part of the solution as well as part of the problem. So training an AI model is actually bad on the environment. It's as driving a car for its entire lifetime. So, and it also consumes a lot of water. Every 10 questions you ask on ChatGPT, it drinks a bottle of water. So just imagine that's a lot of water it consumes. So a model consumes up to 3 million litres of water. That's a lot of water because they've got to keep the computers cool, and that's basically water's the only thing that can do it. At the same time, you can offset carbon and decide certain things in terms of making things more sustainable. So just so you sort of get an idea of, it's not just something. The other thing to me is also Bitcoin and any sort of those online transactional things. They're very expensive on the environment as well. So just think about that when you're actually using it a little bit. Maybe don't ask as many dumb questions. Okay, so potential drawbacks of AI is that job displacement. So it's going to automate a lot of jobs and make some jobs obsolete. But it never has ever got rid of all jobs. Interesting enough, technology always seems to increase the jobs, just different types of jobs. There's a lot of errors and bias in it. And so obviously you've got to be a little careful what it tells you because it isn't necessarily the truth. It's not great with math and it's not too good with the facts. And privacy and security is obviously a big problem as well. I mean, apparently Bard was in trouble for using certain online public chats and stuff to train its model. So you have to be really careful about this whole concept of privacy and security. So a large language model, if you've never heard of it, and probably most people don't even know what that is, but basically the way it kind of works is they do supervised learning. So it's a little bit like teaching a child, right? So you do some supervised learning, sets it up in human supervision, and then it goes through a stage of non-directed process where it actually learns based on what it's been told. And the last stage is reinforcement learning, where it actually starts using the algorithm and actually reinforces what it knows as being the truth or being correct. And receiving rewards and punishments. I'm not sure how you punish an AI, but anyway. And then so the scenario we think of what's happening now is you're going to have a tech war, and you can see it happening already where Facebook decides to bring out Threads to have a crack at Twitter. They're all having a bit of a go at each other and all trying to outbid each other in certain areas. And so you're going to see a lot of war, which I think that's going to be good for us, because as these guys step up the money and start doing this technology, we're going to benefit as consumers. Microsoft, very soon after OpenAI came out in November 2022, they actually tipped in $10 billion into the business to basically help it. So there's a lot of money to be tipped into a business out of the blue. And then, of course, Google, Meta, Apple, and Amazon all piled in. And Google announced its new AI called Bard. Meta has got this AI everywhere on its platforms, including this new character AI they're building. Apple's deploying a chat bot called Apple GPT with their internal systems, and Amazon wants to be the bedrock of artificial intelligence. So they want to actually be the main platform that everybody does this on. So they're all having a crack at their little expertise, but also having a crack at each other. Despite the hype, though, the biggest AI products like ChatGPT are very small versus the mainstream apps like YouTube and Facebook. So in terms of traffic and use, they're nowhere near those levels yet. It's impressive, but it's a scale that obviously mainstream consumers don't really know about yet. And you see a lot of AI buzz, but that's only because it's in your area of expertise, if you like. It's still very early days. So in the usage statistics idea, an impressive 60% of younger users exhibit confidence in their journey towards mastering AI. A significant 88% of older generations remain uncertain. I think we watched Terminator too many times, maybe. But after potential impact of generative AIs in their lives, 40% acknowledge their lack of familiarity with this current technology. So they're obviously coming around to the way of thinking, but there's a certain fear factor in this, and that's typical for generations where things weren't necessarily invented. 75% express a keen interest in automating tasks with their professional settings. So obviously that's probably the older generation wanting to automate things, which we've always wanted to do. So make money while you sleep kind of thing, right? So some major moves in the marketplace. Amazon, after months of complaints from the Authors Guild and other groups, decided to start requiring writers who want to sell books through an ebook program to tell their company in advance what they're doing. So we'll go through that a little bit later for you to show what happened there. That was a major breakthrough because Amazon seemed quite happy to let people put thousands of AI books into Amazon without any sort of limits. Microsoft announced they want to provide legal protection for customers if they're sued for copyright infringement over content generated by their AI systems. Microsoft has a product called Copilot, which is designed for programmers and developers. They're basically going to protect you if you actually use their AI and then later get sued. So they're obviously trying to shore this up. Sam, which is the CEO of OpenAI, launched a WorldCoin, which is a global initiative to differentiate AI from humans through a global ID attained from eyeball scans. So I'm thinking, whoa, okay, that's getting a bit scary when you think about it, because obviously your retina is unique, just like your fingerprints, and they're going to scan your eyeballs. So there you go. So there's opportunities for AI for entrepreneurs, optimizing business operations. So analytics can identify efficiency and streamline workflows, which I'll actually show a little bit of that today. Creating novel ideas or products and services. It's possible now to create programs using AI and actually write it for you. So you can actually, at least worst case scenario, develop something at a level of proof of concept and then get something to try it, rather than having to build it from scratch and pay thousands. Leverage of a decision-making and efficiency. So you can actually get it to sort of be your advisor. Be careful on the facts. And staying ahead of the competitors, because essentially, if you're not doing them, I'm pretty sure your competitors probably are. So in the end of the day, it's a case of keeping an eye on what's going on with that. So in my opinion, it's two types of people that use AI. You'll either be getting told what to do by it, or you're told what to do. And I don't know about you, but I think I want to be the latter. And when you think about it, you've got people like menu log delivery drivers, Amazon employees, they're all being told by AI how to run the business. They're not doing it. They're not telling AI what to do, they're being told what to do. So it's a lot more prevalent than you think it is. But I'd rather be telling them what to do. Yeah, people overestimate what AI can do in the next 12 months. So a lot of people are thinking they're going to do all these wonderful things, and it's not necessarily going to do it, but underestimate what can be done in 10 years. This thing is still very early stages. Imagine what it'll be like in 10 years' time. And the internet made billionaires, but I really think AI will make trillionaires. And there's a race on, apparently, to see the first AI billionaire that actually has no employees. So it'd be interesting to see who comes to that one. But basically, the idea is to be able to build a billion-dollar business without actually having any staff. And in fact, there was cases where the CEO has been running businesses, AI CEO has been running businesses for nearly 7 or 8 years now, which you didn't probably know about. So it's a bit closer than you think. So I thought of some practical stuff today rather than just give you a bit of theory. So the question is, would you write a book with AI? And just before you do that, you've got to think about what Amazon thinks about this, because obviously they're the major players. So Amazon defined 2 aspects of AI. AI generated, where you actually go on AI and it's completely generated by you, by the ChatGPT or whatever. In that situation, they considered AI generated, which is what a lot of people have been doing with AI books. They're just generating these books, potentially not great books, and just publishing them en masse. Amazon also has a term called AI assisted, which means that AI helped you. So you come up with the idea, You then went through and you used various tools, including ChatGPT, to write it, and basically come up with that. They're quite cool with AI assisted, but they don't like the idea of AI generated, but they're not telling you can't do it. They're just asking a lot of questions. So to give you a bit of an idea in the publishing market, mystery and romance and science fiction did $350 million in 2011. In 2019, they did 89 million, actually 211, that number's right. Science fiction 350 million. I don't know what happened in 2019. Penguin House alone published 85,000 titles each year, which is the largest number of published titles. So that's 85,000 books, right? Big Five only dominate 10% of the titles sold globally. So you can imagine the numbers. There's probably over 1 million or 2 million books published per year. And 88% of them were non-fiction books. So that's all. Even if you look at mystery and romance being a huge market, you can imagine what the rest of it is like. Calculation by Google is 130 million books published. So can you generate AI content be copyrighted, right? So the USA Copyright Office, which we don't actually have a copyright office in Australia, so we just kind of rely on whatever US does, is the AI generated content does not qualify for copyright and significant human involvement. So you come back to the AI assisted thing. Basically, you actually have significant involvement in crafting it. That makes it copyrightable. Otherwise, it's not. However, the US copyright's not a court, so you need to register it. Someone's going to sue you over it or whatever, and then the court's going to decide, not the Copyright Office. So really, they don't really know. So what about AI-generated book covers? So you can't own the copyright if you use it for covers, but you can't stop anybody else from using it either. So if you create a book cover and you think, oh, great, I've got this cover, well, you've got to make sure the fact that everybody else can use it as well if you've done that. The latest version of Midjourney gives creative copyright laws around intellectual property and creative IP still haven't been revised to do this. So Midjourney's saying you've got copyright, but doesn't really mean you have. So it's like using art. It's like a book cover is potentially risky, right? So if you're going to create art, put it on, use your book cover, it's probably a little risky. And the whole new world has no laws established to protect or safeguard this thing. So at the end of the day, you're choosing your own adventure in that respect. So now I've given you some warnings. So in Amazon right now, what they do is they ask you this question when you publish a book now. And I seriously do not want to have to answer these questions because when you start getting in, it actually wants to know what chapters and sections you used to create everything, like chapter by chapter. And so to me, it sounds like a lot of work. And I seriously doubt they're going to just turn around and just not use that information for something. So I would be preferred saying no there. So could you write a book with AI? And this was prepared a little earlier with this concept of how you could write a book. So basically what I did, and what I'm doing here is something you want to teach you here. AI doesn't have to be complicated prompts and questions. If you just treat it like a normal human being, because that's what it was trained as, you can actually just ask it questions and it'll do it for you. You don't have to be elaborate. You just have to have some sort of idea of what you want, right? So I said, I want to write a book about the Authorverse, which is, we've got a product called authorverse.club, and also suggest a few subtitles. So I definitely want the Authorverse as the name, but I want to suggest a few titles. So it's coming up with a few titles. Power of the Pen and the Parallel Universe is like, it's pretty interesting stuff, right? So that's okay. I've got some ideas now. Can you, and see, I haven't got a career as a typist. Can you create a table of contents? So this is the kind of way you usually do a book, right? Come up with some titles and then write a table of contents. Most people don't realize, as we call it, the Tarantino approach. So, it's Tarantino movies where you actually see the end first. Well, that's why you should write a book. You should do the end first. So we always look at the table of contents, the cover, the last chapter. All those things should be written way before you write the book. So we're going to say, can you knock me up a table of contents? And the nice thing about ChatGPT and when it talks about books, because it was trained on a lot of books, is that it's quite good at writing table of contents, and it will think out the entire process for you, so you can actually understand all the things you might not have thought of in that process, and also write some reasonably good titles that you can sort of move around through. So I haven't told very much, haven't I? I've just told I want to write a book about the Authorverse, and it's sort of making this up as we go along, and it's fairly good. So then I said, can you suggest some cover designs? And as you see, I don't necessarily type it properly. It doesn't know. It knows when you misspell stuff, so it doesn't matter. So we're going to write me up a brief and says, okay, well, maybe we should have a quill. Cosmic quill, okay. Maybe a book portal. And so it's come up with the colors. It said, it should be warm and inviting, contrasting with cool and muted. So there's all the sort of things you could potentially give a book designer as a brief to come up with some ideas. The universal words, that's quite like that. And so it said just suggestions, we're getting stuff out of that one. And they said, can you write powerful, I won't even spell it properly this time, book description? So that's one thing that most people don't do very well at when they do book publishing. Two things they don't do very good at: writing bios and writing book descriptions. So a very good book description needs to be keyword rich. It needs to, explain and sell the book. Most people write when I read some people's book descriptions, I think they wrote it last and quickly. So this is quite a nice little book description. Okay, so now we're going to say, nice and next. Keywords? So that's another thing. So what keywords should I use when I set the book up on Amazon? So most people go to Amazon, they see these 7 or 8 keywords, and they write rubbish in there. They just put this stuff in there. So let's say, well, you want the right sort of keywords for what the book I just did. So what you'll notice is they're what they call long tail keywords. So they're multiple words in one sentence, not just one word, which most people use. So a little power tip if you're publishing a book, make sure you have long tail keywords, not short ones. So can you write a chapter for me? Yes, sure, okay, I'll write you a chapter. So in the space of about 5 minutes, we've basically fleshed out a book, and we've written an initial chapter. And obviously the danger here is that if you just took this as it was and used it, you're actually now AI generated. So what you really need to do now is take all this stuff that you've got and then start repurposing and changing it, which is what we did with our book recently, to make sure you actually don't fulfill that kind of AI generated concept. Bearing in mind they have no clue, by the way, what's AI generated and what's not. The AI generation tool, detection tools are very weak. Doesn't mean Amazon won't come up with it again. Now, there's any other books on Amazon of the same name, just double checking. That's a pain to go and search. People forget to do that. So I can't find any books about that. That's good. So it's going to be fairly unique. And write me about the author. So that's another one that most people obviously don't do, based on. And it's one of the things that I suggest you do with AI is get it to read a site, give a bunch of text you've already written and let it repurpose it. That's the fastest thing I can ever suggest. So flesh out whatever your idea you want and then ask it to fix it up for you. And that's the fastest way to get it to do something for you. It's going to whip off and have a look at my website and write me a little bio at the back of the book. Is that pretty cool? Someone who's never written a book, theoretically you could do it. And this is the hard part of books. Most people have a lot of trouble just getting that starting point, right? Do you actually get started? Well, this is a way of kind of doing that. All right. So skipping completely to something else. Can some people in the room tell me if they've tried to use Midjourney or they've actually tried Midjourney? So I can't see the chat necessarily. So tell me whether you get anything interesting. But I discovered Midjourney a couple of months ago, to be honest, because when I first signed up for it, I got so confused that I just stopped in the track. So part of the problem with Midjourney is it seems confusing. So you create an account at Midjourney, and then you use this crazy thing called Discord, which I'm sure was written by 13-year-olds. It's kind of chaotic. If you are actually, you probably go insane. So my suggestion is always go to this quick start about Midjourney on Discord, because essentially Discord's like a messaging app that you instruct by ChatGPT with as a command line. So it's quite weird. And so after you sign up for this Midjourney, it sends you off to do this Discord thing. And as soon as I landed in Discord, I got lost, and I thought to myself, what the hell am I doing here? And so the best way to do it, and I took this after I read a few documents about it, is they put you in this newbie group where you just see continuous graphics going past you and you can't cope. Like, it's just so many things happening. It's confusing. But there's actually a bot up the top, this thing that looks like an Xbox controller, as far as I can figure. It's got a little your own personal messaging spot where you actually just click that button and then you're on your own then. So it's your own bot. And then also, by the way, when you come to the end of this thing and you're trying to find your images, it becomes very confusing. You go back to Midjourney under home, and then you can actually see all your images there. So it took me a while to figure out where that was as well. So this is some ideas we did with Midjourney, right? And this is not necessarily a lot of coding, but you can design a board game. You can write a comic book out of it. You can design all sorts of interesting graphics. And these are just some of the things that I did when I was trying to play around with it. And so that's very nicely designed graphics. And also Midjourney generates from natural descriptions called prompts, right? So no different to ChatGPT in some respects. So this is a good example. When we launched our AI podcast, we wanted to use AI as much as possible. So we used it to generate our podcast screen or our image for the podcast. So these are all various images that got generated off the back of one photo. We just uploaded Richard's photo and they generate all these things, including the guy from Up, well, as far as we're concerned. So obviously we didn't end up using that. We were tempted to. So the left-hand corner one was the one we actually ended up using. So it's quite amazing what it can come up with. And one of the things that we found, I was told about later on, was a thing called prompterguide.com, which is a spreadsheet. So you download it and you ask all these questions. Like you essentially stick, I want to do a board game for AI. And you can ask all sorts of questions about aspect ratios and all sorts of stuff, which don't make a lot of sense, but it gives you a very different kind of prompt. So normally you'd say, look, create me an image with this and that. This thing actually writes a very comprehensive prompt for you that you just copy and paste. So you just type the top of the bit, you can hit random for the rest, and it'll create a prompt for you. And so this is like a 3D rendering of a board game, right? So it's pretty amazing if you wanted to create like a board game idea. Numbers across the top there, U1, U2 is upscale that image. So you just pick the image you like and upscale it, or V means vary it. So if you hit V, just varies the image. And so I like this one, it looks pretty space age, right? And then I said, can you make me some playing cards as well? So it starts designing the playing cards. So I've seen someone who actually was able to use ChatGPT to write a game and then use Midjourney to design all the images and graphics and basically created a game in less than a month and then got it printed. So you could create a game for your business, right? Like a rich dad, poor dad type of game or whatever, cash flow, that actually could be quite interesting. So that's just one sort of use of it. So coming back to that thing about Midjourney after that is, could a bot sell your book? So if you actually designed your cover, wrote your book, could your bot sell a book? And so that was a question we sort of posed ourselves. We actually have been using various chatbots. And what we've been doing is teaching in our book. And then when someone comes to the website, they could ask about the book and it could sell the book for you. So this is a series of prompts where I said, I'm looking to buy a book about book publishing secrets. Tell me where I should buy it, where do I get it? And so it told me about it and then gave me the Amazon link. And that's all coming off the chat. So it was taught that. So you've got a potential reader, come along, can I buy your book? There you go. So I want to introduce the concept of being your own algorithm, because at the end of the day, coming back to the concept of you being told what to do by AI, you telling it what to do, you could actually become your own algorithm. So here's a sort of interesting thing. So I asked it about Explorer stage, which is inside my book. So that's my knowledge inside the book that I'm teaching the algorithm that I could teach someone else without reading the book. So I actually did a little experiment. I went through my entire knowledge education folders, which is probably about 100 grams worth of gear, and uploaded all the PDFs to my own private bot. So it's not something that's public, but it's private, and taught the bot, all of my learnings that I've got over the years and paid for all the courses and all that sort of stuff. So now I can just go and ask it a question. I can imagine what it's probably a Frankenstein now. It's probably got Frank Kearns and all sorts of interesting stuff in there, right? But it can be quite helpful because I can just ask the bot a question about all the stuff it's read. And this is an interesting project we're doing for a client who's a doctor. And basically we've built a bot for him and we've uploaded all his book. He's got 5 or 6 books. One of the latest book's nearly 300 pages long about heart disease. And so what we've done is we've taught this bot all this information, gigabytes of stuff. And basically when you land on his site, you can actually ask it questions about heart attack and death and all that kind of stuff. And so we trained that bot on his website, RSS feed. So we pumped in his podcasts. So he's done 300 podcasts. We put that in there. We uploaded all his books. We linked up his knowledge base articles. A huge amount of content. And so then we were sort of getting this comment, chats coming up saying, tell me your name, what blood tests required for that meeting that I test you on. And so basically we say, well, we don't know about blood tests, right? So better go and contact the doctor about that one. So figure that out. What about steps taking a healthier lifestyle, right? So you can basically give you some tips and send you off to the blog. That one's probably a bit smaller read, right? bought your books, not sure where to make the comments. So basically wants to know where to make some comments. So we send it to the customer service request form. So the question is, what we wanted to know was, if we train the bot on something that actually the bot doesn't like, all right, so what we did is we said, can you predict heart disease or heart attack? And if you took any traditional media, it'll say you can't, it's not possible, that you should look after yourself and you should have, watch your cholesterol, all those sorts of things, but we don't know, right? Well, actually you can, there's a test. So we actually trained the bot and we asked the bot that question, is a heart attack preventable? And it says, yes, you can. There's a book about that. It's 5 easy steps to do that. Completely different answer, but trained on ChatGPT's actual large language model. So we're able to convince it that it's not the same thing. Can you predict a heart attack? Yes, you can, by taking a CT image every 5 to 10 years. So what that means is when they come to our website, we're not being told someone else's information. We're actually being told what the doctor knows. And so the chat is actually not just reverberating what the world thinks. So we ask all sorts of questions like, do you have a blog on tobacco? Yeah, we do. Here you go. What do you know? See, I didn't see that book. Get that a lot. That book we sent. So basically what this gives us the ability to say, hey, you can go and get, do this and contact us about that. I want to book a consultation with Warwick. Here's the link. Where's the customer support form? Here it is. So basically, in that situation where you're looking at, you can save a lot of money on customer service if you train that bot, and it doesn't take very long to train the bot. We probably trained Warwick's bot in probably about a day, roughly, and we gave it a lot of content. So basically, you're saving a lot of money in customer service, having these people come and say, where's my book? Convert people to sales, like sell your book. You could create subscription access to your actual bot. So you could train your bot on something and then create subscription access to it, which we've kind of done with Warwick. You could even upsell for masterminds and memberships. So that one's quite a bit of an interesting one. And the other one I wanted to sort of show you was this universal summarizer, which we haven't been able to find anything else like it. There's lots of them out there, but basically this is virtually free. I think you pay like $5 a month for it because it's an actual search engine you pay for. But what you do is you link your audio file to it, and then it will do a key moments of that. So we use this for podcasting. And then you can actually ask it to actually do a summary. And then what you can do is then come in and have a chat about it and actually ask questions about the content it just consumed. So you can actually say, what's the most important message of this thing? There you go. So quite a handy little tool to be able to just quickly summarize podcasts or things like that. I'm going pretty quick on you today because I've got all to show. All right, so the last thing I want to show you is a thing called advanced data analysis. Not sure many people have tried this. It was really cool code interpreter, which was quite a bizarre word. Advanced data analysis actually doesn't give it any much more justice either. So I'm going to show you a thing about uploading spreadsheets and doing analysis, writing reports and presentations, and automating some reading processes. So this one here is a little confusing, but it's actually quite basic. So what we've got is we've got a spreadsheet, first name, last name, and a country. And I need to import it into a database, and I need the ISO code, which is a 2-letter code. So basically what I did is I uploaded the spreadsheet and I said, can you just do the spreadsheet and put the ISO code in for me? And so also one of the options we said was, can you look at the email address and try and figure out what country it is if we haven't done the right country? So it goes through this whole process and just updates the spreadsheet. Very basic spreadsheet. We've used it for, searching for duplicates or anything like that. So just as a very basic thing, you just go to the option which I'll show you in a second, go to the option and basically just upload a spreadsheet and start talking about it. So then what I said is, can you generate me some PowerPoint slides? So again, what we did is we just asked, can you write an AI entrepreneur's presentation? So can you write my presentation today, please? And so we uploaded it in terms of just saying, hey, you just want this information, but also wanted to create me the PowerPoint slides. So we said, look, can you tell me what you're going to talk about? And then can you basically create me some slides? So my information I said was, I want to write an AI presentation and proceed. That's all I said. And so it's now created the slides for me. I think it's pretty amazing. And all that is just basically uploading and having a conversation about data, right? So then I said, could you read my book? So I've got a podcast book. Can you read my book? So I uploaded the PDF. Actually, I think this was an EPUB file from memory. It's a specialized file. So we said, I want you to upload this file and I want you to read my book. So we got it to have that. And then what it said was, I don't know, I can't read this book. Right? So basically what it did is I said, I need to work out a way to do this. So I'll just change to another idea. And so this happens with spreadsheets too. Sometimes it doesn't quite understand it. So it'll actually go off and start making decisions about the way I should do that. And so I figured it out. Now it's going to write me my book description, which I wanted to write. That was my podcasting book section. And then I said, could you write me up some social media posts about that then? I don't like writing social media posts much. I don't think anybody does. And so basically what it's done is it's read my book, understood my book, and now it's going to write me some various information about my book, like book description, keywords, whatever I want to do. So that's basically what happens in using ChatGPT is you've got that limit of how much text you can use. This thing pretty much doesn't care too much about that limit. So then could you write me a book marketing plan based on this book we just wrote? And it even gave me a budget. Given how much I'm going to spend on it. So then this is a little bit more complicated and give you a bit of an idea. So to get to this scenario, just go ChatGPT and advanced data, and you've actually got to have a paid subscription for this. What we did is we, over about, I don't know, 3 years-ish, we did a heart check. So we actually, about 1,800 people filled out this heart check. And you see a lot of data coming on the screen. I barely did anything. I just uploaded the spreadsheet of all the surveys, all the results, you know, have you got high cholesterol, have you got high blood pressure, things like that. And then I just asked it to have a look at it and tell me what it thought. So what it's doing is going through the spreadsheet and then doing graphs, coming up with ideas about it and discussing it. And as we work through this whole thing, show me some trends. Keep going. Can you conduct further analysis? So just tell me more. So it keeps on coming up with all these different ideas and looking at things. And then I asked it to fix up the spreadsheet a little bit. And then I said, can you write me a white paper on that? On the findings? And the interesting thing it came up with was, which is actually, comes to our actual theory of what we believe, is that high blood pressure, cholesterol and diabetes doesn't cause heart disease. That actually, it's associated with doesn't cause it. So it actually, all these results and the CT scans were done, it came back with a confound, it says, I think it said somewhere in there, confounding result, that it couldn't understand why the case that people had all these things that didn't actually have high CT scores. So it actually came to that decision on itself and then wrote me a whole white paper that I could give the doctor to actually then start talking about it. So I thought that was pretty amazing. That's a very complex piece of data. We've uploaded my entire sales analysis of all my invoices for the last couple of years, identify who the key customers were. And so found a customer that spent a lot of money with me and I've sort of forgotten about. I contacted her and realized that she had financial problems, but she actually wanted to rent a new business. And we actually done a joint venture with her based on the fact that we analysed the data and found this best customer. So just think about all the bits of data you've got in your business. What could you upload? And now obviously there's a privacy issue with this because you could technically be uploading your own data. If you're possible, don't put names and things in it. But this thing loses it half the time anyway, so I don't even think it keeps it. But obviously you've got to be careful what you upload to. Another app I found just recently is called Prompt Genius. So people who are actually, and I probably need to get more organized about this too, is where you've got a situation where you find all these great prompts, but then you've got to kind of keep them somewhere. So it's a Chrome plugin. You can actually just do it and you can actually share the prompts with other people as well. So it's basically a free plugin through Chrome. And the other thing I would suggest you probably do if you haven't already realized is that obviously you can use custom instructions now with ChatGPT. One of the most annoying things that drives me insane is it keeps on doing American spelling. So if you do this for nothing else, just tell it to use Australian spelling in your custom. And like I said, this is the AI show we produced, and Richard's the host for that. So basically it was totally based around AI. And we've used AI, including the actual generation of that image, to actually create that AI. So you can actually get a free toolkit if you subscribe on the AI advantage.show. And we've also got an event. We started one probably a couple of months ago, but we've got another one this Friday, which is a free AI event where you come along and we do networking and we also do some learning as well. So basically that's called the AI advantage.pro. And I'm ahead of schedule, am I? I don't know. I'm way ahead of schedule here, dude. And so also we've got the prize, which is an annual membership, which we intend to sell for $350, which gives you the access to all the, you can come to the events, you can get the replays, as well as we run a workshop as well every month with the members. And we'll do that draw in a sec, and then that's it. So 49 slides, 40 minutes.
Yeah, so I'm impressed, John.
I always run on time. I don't know how I do it.
Never thought you'd get through all that in the time.
Yeah, just one slide per minute.
That's pretty good. All right, what have we got? Got a question here from Paul.
Supply a fire hose.
Yes, yes. Paul's asking what version of ChatGPT are you using?
I'm using 4 mostly, because with the data analysis, you can't actually use the ChatGPT 3.5 with that. So I'm just going to stop and share. Yeah, so you can only use the paid version.
Paid version, not. How much of this could you do with the freebie?
You can't upload files with the unpaid version. So you can do everything. You know, you could do the book. I think I wrote the book on 3.5 originally. So anything like that you can do, but they've kind of siphoned off the data analysis to be a paid model. So it's about $20 a month or something. I think it's a good investment. It's a cheap VA, you know, at the end of the day.
Particularly interested in analysing spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Could it do a comparison of what's in a spreadsheet compared to information that might search off the web?
Possibly. It's a very, like, the Bing plugin has just been put back, but it's basically harder to work with. I tried it the other day, and it's like, can you write me something on this link? And it sort of lectured me about it. So it seems like they've turned it back on, but they've really cobbled it down. So it's worth a shot. Worst case scenario, do a copy paste off the website, create a file, stick it in and upload both those. So you can upload multiple files. You don't just upload one. I have a scenario where I need to combine files, just upload 2, combine them for me. And I had to have a limit on that one, so split it back the other way. So all those sorts of things can be done with the files. That could be one way of doing it.
Okay, intriguing.
Yeah, well, I found it quite interesting because basically I do a lot of data work. Like for royalties, for example, with a lot of my book publishing, I said upload all my royalties for the last 3 or 4 years. I said, can you spot some trends for me? Can you figure out, you know, selling the books and all that sort of stuff? And found all this extra information you didn't really know about, because you know, often you get reports, you don't pay a lot of attention to them.
Okay.
You can actually discuss it with the bot.
A few other questions coming in as well. Lisa asking, how did you get ChatGPT to create PowerPoint slides?
So again, that's basically just the data analysis thing, which I think is a weird name for it, right? But basically it's your personal VA to work on files for you. So basically just go to that program and just say, can you write me, you've got to be specific to say, can you create me PowerPoint slides from this? So if you don't say that, it just plays dumb. But you actually have to say, look, so I said, can you write me a slideshow about AI? Yep, that's great. No worries, like that. Can you create those PowerPoint slides for me and give me the download? So then it gives you a link and just download it. So you just got to be careful the way you word it.
Not 100% sure what this one is. Mel, you might need to clarify. Mel's asking, can it deal with scanned lists using OCR? So
it's
I'm not
really
sure
bad with PDF.
Can it do the OCR?
It's really bad with PDF. Like I've uploaded a couple of PDF documents, and it actually doesn't do PDF very well at all. So OCR would be the same problem. Yeah, I don't know. It's worth a shot, but it doesn't seem to have trouble recognizing it.
So the trick would be to run it through an OCR program first and then upload it to.
You maybe try and get it to clean it up. We had a book for someone that written a book on, typed it all up on a typewriter, and we got them to scan it. That was fun. And then we OCR'd it, and we tried to get the OCR to convert it to text. In the end, we retyped it from the book, from the printouts, because we just never got it right. So yeah, for some reason, OCR hasn't got as good as it. For some reason, it's got left behind. Maybe there's some AI OCRs out there that I haven't found.
Well, there's one in chat there. What does Armin says? You can use PDF GPT for PDF.
Yeah, there's an uploader link I think you can do where you can upload it. But if it's poorly created, like some of the PDFs we uploaded, which weren't created as a PDF, essentially, it was either scanned or something, it doesn't do a very good job on those. I haven't been able to get it to do much.
All right, Deep. a question for training ChatGPT for knowledge base internal resources in insurance broking. What tools should he use for that?
So it depends on whether you want this information to be public and known, because one of the things I noticed a couple of weeks ago, you used Chat Thing, which was the one we actually ended up with, and we've had a really good relationship with the owners of that. We've been able to talk back on the actual backwards and forwards with them. And one of the things that they have is they have the ability to link to something and then put the passwords in to the knowledge base. So we have a knowledge base app in our program, but you can actually put the passwords in, because one of the things you don't want to do is expose all your information to the web anyway, right? So this actually has a password option. And then basically we just trained it on individual pages and said, look, go read this page and then put it into the knowledge base. So not that hard at all, but it depends on where you work at, right? But this thing has a password option and you can just log in for you automatically. And yeah, you can create an internal resource, because one of the things that people sort of start thinking about is that usually their CEO is the problem in the business, right? The boss is always the problem. And so part of the thing is, well, how do I do this? What do I do that? So if you train a chat module to actually do the things that you normally do, and staff can use it, ask them questions, that's going to free up the CEO a lot. At the same time, is always going to get the same answer.
So you could use it to create your procedures.
Yeah, your own internal procedures, and the thing with I really like with the chat thing is it actually tells you the links as well. So basically, you could say, look, we might ask a question, where's the form to fill out something, and I'll say, yeah, it's over here. So that speeds up a lot of searching around trying to find things.
So in fact, I know that I've spoken to some people about hiring virtual assistants, saying, well, I wouldn't know what to get them to do. So first thing to do is to get them to create those systems and procedures, but you can kickstart that with an AI tool or ChatGPT, and then you've got your systems and procedures for them.
Yeah, that's the trouble with VAs. Like we've probably been employing VAs for 15, 20 years, and one of the biggest problems with VAs is the previous VA never trains the one coming in. So what happens is they lose everything. Everything you've spent the years training them on, this is lose it. So we always make them write the procedures as they go. So we'll say, look, I'll give you the basics. You go do this and you document it, tell me you've done it, and make them involved in writing each procedure for themselves when they go to do it the very first time. And then that way you end up with actual library of procedures rather than wait till they leave and then ask them to write it the week before they go, which they never do.
No motivation at that point.
No. In fact, if they write stuff, it's probably wrong anyway. So it's probably the most dangerous time to ask someone to document your job on the way out the door, right? Bizarrely, we used to do it in the 90s.
That's right. Any other questions or comments? So feel free to unmute yourself if you've got a question you want to ask, or just drop it in the chat. What's it? Mel was asking, is there AI that can? Is there AI that can be a VA?
In theory, yes. I mean, there's some apps out in the marketplace. There's one there I sort of joined up on by staffs, which is an interesting one, where basically you have all these different staff members and they're trained on certain areas, and they can actually just say, can you do this or do that for me, write me a social media plan, but they're specifically designed for one particular function. So in theory, it's getting close. There's another app I was looking at the other day called Augment.ai, I think it is, or Augment.co. Basically, they would put a little AI button in all your apps. So when you're writing your emails or any apps you're using, it actually got an AI button in there. So that's almost like a VA as well. In fact, the guy that we got speaking with us this Thursday, is actually a guy that's created a humanized video called Be Human. And one of the things I noticed when we send him emails is the email replies back, and it's AI replying back. It's actually summarized the email and explain what's going to happen. So it's basically automatically VAing in some respects.
And in fact, you probably use your VAs. And one of the tasks that your VAs is to go and find themselves their own VA to be able to do the tasks they need to do.
Yeah. And I think it put in the hands of a VA, like we a few times, one of the classic ones in my web designer, whenever you do web design for people, nobody ever gives you content, nobody gives you copy. That's the worst thing. You never get them to do anything. So what we do now is we can write it with AI, and half the time they think it's good enough. So my web designer usually doesn't have any words to put in. I said, well, why don't you just go to AI and get it to write it for you? Right. That's a massive thing, but you didn't think about that. She hadn't thought about it until I said, yeah, why don't you just get it to generate code for you?
And AI generated content is always better than no content, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's not bad. I mean, everybody likes to think they're a great copywriter, but they're not.
I mean, that's why isn't that why the Screen Actors Guild have all
yeah,
had the
they're
shit?
upset. Yeah.
Because
is
AI
pretty
can
good.
write their scripts.
Yeah, I mean, it's close. Like, it's only early days, right? It's almost like toddlers writing a copy right now, right?
Yeah,
Imagine
well,
when
they're
an
sort
adult
of.
starts writing.
I think that they were saying like it's pretty much like it's a grad student that needs to be trained on the real world, sort of a thing.
Yeah, bit of real world experience, right? Well,
Yeah,
apparently the Actors Guild said that they're going down the line of AI assisted. So what they're saying is the studios can use AI to assist scripts. They can't use AI to write them.
okay.
That's the
I
deal.
know that there's some. I know that there is. I've seen some people using just AI to write scripts, and it's been some pretty interesting out there stuff that's been produced.
There's a South Park one that out there apparently used AI to create.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's Google. It's quite interesting. It's actually completely created by AI. It wrote it and did all the cartoons and everything as well. Apparently, it's not bad. Like, I haven't really watched South Park that much. Probably the South people like South Park. I'd probably say it's not good. But seriously, it wrote a whole story about AI as being part of the South Park thing. So
I think that there's a documentary on Netflix, like The Future of, and I think that there was something interesting on there about people just using AI, and some of the stories were just, they seemed really weird, and but then they sort of made sense at the same time when they sort of described what they wanted, and yeah,
so
very odd.
You got Netflix. Go and watch a show called Black Mirror. But it's the first episode of the first season. Everybody hates somebody, I think, from memory. That's a kind of interesting story where essentially, I won't ruin it for you, but essentially the AI is making up the thing personally for someone.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Like your own personal Netflix show. So you kind of, the theory is that you might put in all the people from a particular show you like and get the AI to actually run that show for you.
You could be the metaverse.
Black Mirror on Netflix. Yes, I mean it's some pretty scary stuff this season, but that first episode is quite amazing. And the funny thing about it is Netflix was actually talking about doing what they said in this thing. It's almost like Netflix was like doing a lowball offer.
I think it's sort of becoming more and more prevalent in schools now as well. So.
Well, the first attitude for anybody was fearful is to ban it, right? So first approach to anything that you don't understand is you ban.
Yeah. Well, I think that the schools don't have a choice anymore, but now they're on to sort of being able to work out when people are like, basically, what do you call it? When they're copying and pasting, they've got to sort of know when to use it, when not to use it.
I think AI is a tool to ask. Like I saw this pitch on Shark Tank a couple of weeks ago for this guy who'd written this AI thing in 41 days for teachers to write up everything, and it's conversational, so it's asking them questions rather than. So it's very difficult for them to plagiarise.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what AI for teaching is good. And so it almost be a teaching assistant that can help them learn. I think that's amazing not to ban it like that.
Yeah, I also think that they can learn the different ways that kids learn, and they can teach to individual children rather than it just being like a group of 30 kids and everyone gets trained the same. People learn differently. They're like, might be auditory, they might be visual, they might be, there's all different ways people learn. And so I think that we'll probably end up a lot smarter than what we are now as a result of it.
Jobs AI will probably take them all, but it's interesting with teaching is that at the end of the day, everybody was taught in a classroom environment back in the 1950s and whatever. It's because we're all construction workers, like you're working in factories, so we just learn how to do one thing. You can't learn that way anymore. So I think if they move to that, it's a far better way to actually keep them engaged and learn something they like rather than just get them to remember stuff.
Yeah, just what's 2 times 2?
Actually, one of the use cases that just thinking about that now is I've been sitting down with someone. They've been crafting out their avatars for their business and crafting out what are their key messages, what are the outcomes they're looking for, the program they're creating, and also what else should they have in the program, which has been really interesting. And she's spent quite a bit of work doing it manually and using resources of, I think she was using Digital Marketer. But you could potentially grab that material of Digital Marketer, upload it to AI, and then get it to run those tasks that you download.
I know they tested some university MBA students in America about, who had good ideas as an MBA student and the AI, and the AI had better ideas.
You're right.
So I think at the end of the day, because it's read so many books, right, it's almost like it's got this massive library of knowledge.
And did you see the picture that won the photography, the most stolen picture on the internet? I think that was on the documentary that Sky put out there, that basically it was a sunset competition, and basically it took the best pixels from all these like millions of images, the best pixels, and just produced this one image, and it won. The guy handed back the money, but he just said, like, you don't ever really need to have a camera anymore.
Yeah, it can understand images. I mean, that's the thing that I think is pretty amazing. And particularly ChatGPT now, apparently they can upload an image to it now, and you can also do voice. So you can actually tell it what you want, which is really handy for a lot of people. But if you want it to write in your voice, give it a sample of the way you write, then ask it to write that way.
Yeah,
that's interesting with the audio voice options and the image options. You actually can upload an image and tell it to understand it. So
yeah. Well, I know there was a woman in America who thought her daughter was kidnapped because the AI had taken samples of her voice.
yeah, I think I remember something of that. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah. So, is there any sort of suggestions you got on protecting your actual your voice, your voice, your face, you know?
Well, in theory, as far as the government's concerned, I think you don't own your face. So
yeah.
So I don't know. I think the biggest problem is that the more you've put out there in the marketplace, like my son's a good example. He's never been on social media. Like he was on Facebook for like 5 minutes. He's never put anything online. No voice, no pictures, nothing. So at the end of the day, you can't do it. But we've all done this. Like I've got hundreds of podcasts for starters. I think that ship has sailed. So I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day,
that's where the deep fakes are gonna.
Yeah. Well, there's been a case of this famous actor just apparently got deep faked on a dentistry ad.
What was that?
He got deep faked on this dentist ad or something. They created this ad with him and talking about some dentist or something. And he says,
there's
Tom Hanks.
There's some amusing ones with Donald Trump and Joe Biden, actually. I think where I think Biden says you orange buffoon or something like that.
Well, check out something called character.ai. I don't know if you've seen that, but that just received another, I think, $10 billion worth of funding or something. You can have conversations with different people. So you could have a conversation with Trump, for example, or Biden, or any famous person apparently has been taught about them. You can actually have a conversation with like Albert Einstein and things like that.
There's the documentary from Sky News is really quite interesting because it covered quite a bit. They had it so like they had like the robots that are just real, like they can read facial expressions and stuff. And I think that they were saying that they're actually more empathetic as far as if they're a health, in health, they're actually more empathetic towards the patients than what the doctors themselves are. Can read pupil dilation and all that sort of stuff. And apparently it would seem that people are more open to talking to them because it's not a person that's going to judge them.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're just about there, John.
I'm all AI-ed out now.
Yeah. if there was for anyone that hasn't really sort of started in this or sort of has just been delving in it and thinking, well, where do I actually get started with it all? Where do you think is the best place to really, I suppose, dip your toe into it?
I think ChatGPT or Bard, perhaps, to start with something really basic and just talk to it like a human. So think of a project you want to do and just ask it to do stuff for you. Or like for me, I'll write an email and I'll go, hey, can you write this better? And I'll just give it that. And that's it. So just little basic tools every day. I could probably save myself 7 to 10 hours a week just doing that. That's a massive saving in itself. And I'm barely using, I'm not a prompt engineer here. I'm just talking to like a normal person. And I think that's the way you start, because I think there's too much complex stuff people talking about. At the end of the day, half anybody will ever do is any half that stuff, right?
I think that that's one of the key things as well, sorry to interrupt, is because it's been trained on the internet and everything's been, proper language, whereas some of the younger generations coming up, they write you as opposed to YOU and things like that, and that can confuse it. So, this is probably something where the older generation has a little bit of a win.
Yeah, true. We can write faster and we can write betterer.
Yeah, a lot better.
Gooder.
And lol means like about 3 different things.
There's good, gooder, and goodest.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we've probably reached the time for the prize draw that we've got there. So, John, what's the door prize for tonight?
So basically, it's a year's membership in our AI Pro scenario. So basically, you get to attend all the meetings for free, which we eventually charge for. Plus, you get access to the replays, and you also get access to another workshop we run once a month as well, and AI tools and things like that. So we're kind of building community around it. We plan to sort of sell it for about $350 a year. So those are some of the value on at the moment for.
Excellent. All right. So one lucky person here is going to win that. So let's pull up the wheel of names. So I've got everybody's name is in this wheel of names. So
what if I win it?
Redraw. Not an AI draw to draw it by AI. So it's got a bit of manual component about it. So remember, you do need to be here in the room to win. So if we do draw it and you've disappeared, well, you won't know. But it looks like Mel Pope is the winner.
Oh, yay! Thank you.
Awesome. Well, there you go. It's worth contributing tonight. So this AI machine must have known that you're interested in this.
You must be there.
Must have.
I don't know what you want to do in terms of the prize, whether you want to CC me in an email or something, or
yeah, we'll shoot you an email and introduce you both tomorrow, and then you can organise getting.
That'd be great.
Awesome, excellent. Well done, Mel. That was a lucky win.
It was
Fantastic. And for the rest of us, if anyone wants to find out a wee bit more about this or get in touch with it, what's the best way to do that?
Probably there's a couple of things. So I'll put it in the thing. AI Advantage. Can't type. If you go to AI Advantage Pro, you can actually register for the events, and then I guess probably just go to my domain on north.com.au and you'll find me.
Excellent.
So I can take it from there. So all the links are there anyway. So we do a lot of different things. So I need that just to keep track of what I'm doing.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Well, thanks, John, for your session tonight. As I say, I was not confident you were going to get through all those slides in the time, but you absolutely smashed it. So I'm impressed. So let's everyone give John a big virtual round of applause, and thanks for coming on tonight.
My pleasure.
And of course, if you want to view this again or you want to recommend someone else, then this will be up on our YouTube channel tomorrow afternoon. So if you want to check that out, we'll drop the link into chat for the YouTube channel. And of course, it was streamed on Facebook tonight. So for those of you on Facebook, thanks for tuning in tonight. And of course, it'll be there as a replay as well. And remember the Business Owners Smashing It Online Facebook group. If you're not a member of that, then jump across there now and join that there, and you'll see all of the apps and tools that are in there as well too. So just waiting for the YouTube channel to get dropped in here as well, and then you can go and save that chat. So to save the chat, you can save it with those 3 little dots at the bottom of the chat screen. Let me just drop in the YouTube channel. Try not to send that as a direct message to someone. I'll send it to everyone. All right, there's the YouTube channel. So that'll be up there tomorrow afternoon. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, just go and hit that subscribe button, and there's a little bell beside the subscribe. If you click that bell, then you'll get a notification as soon as it's uploaded and it's ready. So that's our session for tonight. So thanks everyone for coming along, and looking forward to seeing some of your AI integrations and experiments on your sites and social media and what you're doing. In fact, here's a challenge. AI me So send your stuff by AI to me and see if I can tell the difference between you and the AI tool that you use. All right, well, there's our session tonight. Thanks again, John. Thanks for everyone for coming on. We'll be back here next week, same time. And our topic next week is Janine Vosper. Are you still here, Janine?
Certainly am, Nick.
There we go. Can you give us a quick précis on what you will be talking about next week? I know I put you on the spot.
That's okay. What I'm going to be talking about is how to optimize your LinkedIn profile so that you are seen as an authority and people can find you and they'll recognize that you are the person that they need to be working with. There's so many real basic things that people get wrong with their profiles. And if I can help everyone take the steps to set it up correctly, then that's what I'll be doing, is sharing all those tips.
Awesome. Looking forward to it. And Janine did a profile of my LinkedIn profile this week as well too. Absolute gold in there, some things that I've missed. So definitely well worth coming on for that as well too. So looking forward to it. Thanks, Janine.
Thanks, Nick.
Make sure your links work. Drives me batshit crazy. Links and make sure your
If
links
you're not
work.
prepared to put your contact details there, get rid of your LinkedIn profile. Don't have a business, don't exist.
Correct.
Amazing.
Well, don't give away too much now.
Have any- no touch with them.
Excellent. All right. Well, that's it for tonight. Thanks, everyone. And we shall see you back here next week. Have a good night.
Where else would you be on a Tuesday night?
Absolutely. Thank you for tuning in and listening to the Business Owners Smashing It Online podcast. You can also find me on social media and online. Just search for Business Owners Smashing It Online and Nick Cree, spelled Nickcree, all one word. If you like this and want to hear more, subscribe now. Until next time, don't be a slave to your business. Get your business working for you.